Ed Curtis, founder and CEO of YTexas, is here to talk more about why businesses are coming to the Lone Star State. Ed, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Trinity, and welcome to Texas, to the NYSE.
Thank you very much for that. And obviously Apple is dominating headlines with this news, just announcing plans to hire 20,000 workers as a part of a $500 billion U.S. investment. What does this mean for Texas as a whole state, and how significant is it compared to past corporations that are relocating to the region?
Well, I think firstly, it's jobs. I mean, we employ over 15 million people here. We have a strong workforce, and that's one of the major reasons companies and organizations are investing in Texas. Which makes this one unique, in my opinion, is it's coming to Houston. Houston's obviously the energy capital of the world, but they're a manufacturing powerhouse. They have over 700,000 manufacturers and over 240,000 workers in the industry. So it says a lot for manufacturing, Houston, and the future of our state.
And, as I mentioned, major tech companies like Tesla and NYSE listed firms, Oracle and Hewlett-Packard, all have moved significant parts of their businesses to Texas. What is it about the state that continues to attract major corporations like this?
Well, I kind of break it down into some simple terms. It's almost the fear of missing out. There's so much happening here. There's so many headlines. There's so many really interesting innovative projects that are happening here. And I think to some extent people are looking at that and saying, well, I need to get there. Then when they really dig in and they see the amount of activity, the amount of Fortune 500 companies, the tier 1 university system we have here, the budget surplus that the state has, over $24 billion projected, which will be invested in the future workforce infrastructure. You look at that and you say, why not? I mean, it's a simple decision, quite honestly, for a lot of these companies.
And, with the NYSE announcing plans to launch an exchange in Texas, how do you see this impacting the state's growing reputation as a financial and business hub? Do you think that it will attract even more companies to the region?
Yeah, and it has. I've been doing this for 10 years. I myself moved from the East Coast over 30 years ago, and I saw this massive growth happening a long time ago. The Dallas-Fort Worth area has really brought in a lot of investment and quite honestly, just workforce in the financial services industries. I mean, if you look at companies like Goldman Sachs, Chase Bank, I mean, they have, some of those companies have more employees in Texas than they do in the East Coast. So I think it's only going to continue. We had TD Ameritrade, we've got Schwab. It's really a sleeper when it comes to that industry. You look at our centralized time zone, and you look at all the other benefits of having all the inbound and outbound exporting coming in and out of the state for global trade. The energy capacity we have here to handle these exchanges really puts us in a good position. I think it's only going to continue.
And how much of a role do Texas's tax policies and regulatory environment play in these relocation decisions? Do you think that it's purely financial, or are there other contributing factors that are just important?
No, I think it's an all the above strategy. I mean, look, there are tax incentives out there for companies to relocate here. We are very tax favorable to the data center industry. We realize that they can do a lot of things for the state, not only in real estate development, but being in proximity to these powerhouse technology companies that need that access. You combine that with the fact that there is no state income tax. And I know, I spoke to a CEO who moved here, and he said, it's the message that the state sends. In addition, of course, the tax savings, but it's the message that the state sends that says, we're not going to tax you personally. We're going to find other ways to get the investment. So a lot of incentives out there, a very comparatively lower cost living place to live. A lot of these big projects are happening in areas that aren't overpopulated. So it is less expensive to live there. And I think it's going to attract more people, help the state and help the globe.
Tell our viewers a little bit more about what role your company plays when it comes to relocating these companies, YTexas, and how it helps companies in the whole process and help them expand.
Well, the state has gone through an evolution of migration over the years. It even started with JCPenney and American Airlines back in the 70s. And I think over the last 30 years, the state has grown in almost every county. We have 254 counties. They're all growing, and they're bringing in new people from different states, different countries, all coming here to innovate, to change the world. It's a very interesting place. So we formed an organization that helps accelerate their success after they get here. It's an extremely large state. If you're doing business in Dallas, you're 4 hours away from Houston. They're two of the biggest markets in the country, but they don't often communicate much just because they're very, very far from each other. So we're basically creating a community to allow these companies to leverage off of all of the assets in the state, and we're doing it through peer-to-peer networks.
Ed Curtis, founder and CEO at YTexas, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.